Hello everybody and welcome back. We are kicking off another season here in the Reddit F1 League. Season 2, we've moved over to the F1 2020 games. We've got a new whole system to be running on. We're back with the Xbox division, headed to Australia for round 1. Now, a couple of developments have taken place in the off-season. We have had enough signups, a few new names on the grid to institute 2 divisions. So we've got a Division 1, Division 2. We are going to be racing in the top division, but we're right kind of on that borderline between having enough people to fill one full grid and having just a few too many people for that one full grid. So if the league has a few people drop off throughout the season, we'll likely see these divisions combine, or if we have some more people add in, we'll start to get some more full grids. But as it stands, we've got 10 cars on the grid for this first week's race in Division 1. So here we are coming out of the final corner to start our first runs of qualifying in the brand new season here. So you'll notice we are in the Williams this season. We've got that nice kind of rainbowed livery up top for the We Race as One and End Racism initiatives. And we are coming through down into turn 3, spot our braking point and dive in. A little bit of a lockup on the way in. In the 2020 game, the lockups are a little bit more forgiving. They have a little bit more confidence on the brakes. They don't tend to lock up as soon. And on traction, you tend to be able to put a little bit more foot into the throttle before the back end steps out. But we are personally running no assists. It is an open assist league, so you can run assists if you so desire, but sometimes those assists can slow you down. Other times they can help out with your consistency, which has been a problem of ours in the past. We've dealt with that in Season 1 after having an alright start of the season there. We have a couple good results, so hopefully we can move our way further up into the points this season, show a little bit more improvement of pace, although splitting into 2 divisions means that a lot of the drivers that we were in front of are no longer in this particular division, so we're going to have to go especially quick. Awakens, one of the new drivers, sets the early fast lap as we're coming through the final sector. A little bit of a bobble out of that second to last corner, but open the DRS and come down the long run to the start-finish line. Cross that line provisionally right now, P3, although only a few cars have set a lap time. We're about 1.2 seconds off of the provisional pole time, so we'll turn everything down, get back into the pit, and you can see Fast 6 driver already going a little bit faster. So here we are out on a fresh set of soft tires now, coming around the final corners to start another flying lap. This time we didn't have any traffic in front of us, so we were able to carry a little bit more momentum and a little bit more rhythm through that final sector. Hopefully help us get a little bit better rhythm to start this next flying lap. But we've dropped down to P7 overall, so not a particularly blistering time, but you can see go green through that first couple of corners, about a half a tenth up, but gaining all the time because we're a little bit better through that whole first corner. No lockup this time into turn 3. That's going to definitely help us gain a little bit of time. Little lift of the throttle, dive it into turn 4. Lost a little bit of time there, took a little bit too much speed out. Run it out wide on that flat out right-hander. So now we got to see if we can make up the ground in the second half of the lap. Much better exit as we start the second sector from there, picking up a full 2.5 tenths as we come down into this corner here. A little bit of a lockup on the way in, but much better on the throttle. Not too much wheel spin, so we've managed to keep that one fairly well settled, and we're about 3.5 tenths up on our previous best lap here. Pitch it in for that very quick chicane, taking as much track limits as possible, very close to invalidating, but nailed it right on the end. We're almost 7 tenths up as we head down into the final sector here. Some yellow flags ahead of us as there looks to be a McLaren going slowly on the track map. And ooh, big lockup into that second to last corner, and that's going to cost us a ton of time. You see that delta just bleeding away. We were 7 tenths up. Now we're barely a 10.5 up, and a fairly long run down the line that we're losing all the time because of that slow exit. Only ended up going about a tenth faster, so that keeps us 7th place overall after that lap. So here are with 1 minute left to go in the session here. We're out on our final set of fresh soft tires, a little wide on the exit. That's going to cost us some time at the start of the lap here. Hopefully we can get that car back up to speed. We've got everything turned up. We're already about a quarter of a tenth there down, and a little slow through the first couple of corners as there's a car coming out of the pit lanes right there at our turn-in point. Kind of a distraction, and we lost 2 full tenths. And that's definitely harmed our lap time. You can see losing time all over the place, although much better run through there at the start but losing it on the acceleration phase of that corner. And you see just running a little bit too much over the track limits there, and that's going to invalidate the lap time after a pretty poor start to the lap, being distracted by the cars coming out of the pits and kind of compromising our lap there. Really wasn't gaining too much time on it, so that lap is now no longer going to be valid. We are going to be locked in at our previous lap time, which puts us at the moment P8 with a few more cars left to go to cross the line. There's about 45 seconds to go for anybody else starting their final flying lap. It looks like the Ferrari that we just passed might be going for another attempt. With 30 seconds left to go in the session, we're just going to go ahead and finish off this lap because we may as well just see what kind of lap time we're going to do. See, much better exit there, but we are going to be about a half a tenth slower than our previous best lap there, 0.064. So our first lap ended up being our fastest, or our second lap rather, and a few mistakes could have really put us up the grid, but you can see Marco Dennison way up on top there, 19.9. We only did a 22.3, well off the pace. So starting up this new season, definitely the level of competition has increased significantly. Guys have learned and got a lot quicker. We were battling a lot with Fast 6 driver last season, who is now sitting P2 on the grid, ahead of QX Nemesis, Habs Van Nick, Voki, and Awakens. So here we are on the grid getting our strategy and our fuel load set up. We're going to go ahead and underfuel the car to try and save a little bit of tire life there. Should be just a nice, comfortable one-stop strategy. 9 laps on the soft tire. Finish it off with a nice long stint on the hard tire at the end. Going to the mediums wasn't really viable in the one-stop strategy. You can see it being suggested in the alternate for a 2-stop, but it's not something we're going to make work in one-stop. Here we are, P9 on the last row of the grid here. Getting ready with the 5 red lights up and out, and we get a decent jump off the line here, closing up on Golly Mooms. Now Racer 04 and Onslaught were sandwiched by the 2 Renaults. We're on the brakes fairly early to avoid some turn 1 messes. You can see Racer 04 going well off into turn 1, carrying way too much speed, and that's forced his teammate Onslaught off the track. Onslaught, the only driver on the medium tire to start this race, and you can see more smoke as cars are locking up into turn 3. We're just trying to keep our nose a little bit cleaner, and we've run a little bit wide and picked up a track limits warning, but Racer 04, after going deep on his start, is looking to find his way past us with his early pace. So we'll have to see if our race pace can be better than our qualifying pace, which was woefully underrepresented here in Australia. A couple of other changes that came to F1 at 2020. You notice there is a big orange overtake mode that just switched to disable as the overtake button is enabled. You can see the ERS deploy now says medium or overtake. So you don't have to manage it so much in the race. There isn't that switch between the low, none, medium, high, overtake, hot lap. There's basically 3 solid ERS deployments. There's the medium, which is what stays in for the race mode. You have hot lap, which you saw during qualifying, which is basically to spread that electrical charge out over the course of an entire lap. And then you have your push button overtake mode where you're deploying a lot of extra energy. And that way you don't have to worry about managing it quite so much. You do have to still manage it a little bit. You recharge it the same way in your braking zones and lifted throttle applications where you're generating both on the stopping power, the regenerative braking, and then the MGU-H, which is the heat motor generator unit, which takes some of that excess heat off of the engine and the turbocharger and uses that to help charge the battery thermally as well. But we are up into P8 at the moment. Racer 04 still nipping at our heels, only about a half second back. DRS is not yet enabled, and here we are picking up another track limits warning there. Tough track to stay clean on. You can see us using little dabbles of that overtake mode from time to time just to give us a little bit of extra launch down the straights. And once the tires are hooked up coming out of corners, that's kind of the way you want to use it to maximize your lap time. And then obviously, when you're going for its namesake, an actual overtake, that's when you're really going to let the button fly and leave it on. But ooh, Habs Van Nick getting it a little bit loose coming out of the 11-12 chicane. We're going to see if we can't make a move around the outside into turn 13. We've gone a little bit too deep, though, and out onto the gravel. And all that work that we've done to close up Habs Van Nick and try and take advantage of his mistake has been lost And that's also allowed Racer04 to go through, but he's gone deep in the penultimate corner. We're going to try and race him into this final corner. We kind of close the door down on him as we have the extra little bit of speed. And that is going to put him right back behind us. So he took advantage of a mistake of our own. 2 corners later, we've managed to take advantage of a mistake on his part. So back and forth, we are at the back of the grid. The front of the grid is kind of running away from us a little bit. But we're going to jump ahead to lap 5 now. QX Nemesis, that orange dot out front on the map. You've got Fast 6 driver and Marco Denelson out in front as well in the 2 Ferraris. We have finally made a move to close up to Gallimooms. We've got some yellow flags right in front of us as Voki has come off. Managed to get past him as we are closing up on to the Red Bull of Gallimooms. Another driver that we've been pretty closely matched in pace with over the tail end of last season. We'll see if he has made bigger steps than us in the off season or if we're going to be able to continue to battle with him. But a little bit of wheel spin coming out of that second to last corner. We've got the DRS help. We're trying to save some fuel here, not in a attacking position. So we're going to turn that engine mode down, try and save fuel so we can get to the end of the race. We've gone a little bit too deep there though, and that's going to compromise our exit a little bit. Luckily, we've got the DRS still off of him to allow us to maintain that gap. If we had been a little better through that first chicane, we could have had an opportunity to attack down into turn 3, but he's managed to hold his position just in front of us. So we've got Racer04, Onslaught, and Voki looks to have dived into the pit lanes. It looks like he's picked up some damage from his incident. So he is now back to the back of the field with 23 laps to go in this race. And just like last season, we are running the 50% race distances. So looking to be around 45 minutes or so for race time. And then, of course, the one short 18-minute qualifying session. And in this particular case, this week, with only 10 drivers on the grid, everybody has to start on the tires that they qualified on, because in the short session, you are required to start on the qualifying tire if you place inside the top 10. So with all of us being inside the top 10, that means we definitely have to all run the same tire. And that meant everybody except Onslaught opted for the soft compounded tire, because that gave you the best options for qualifying. And that soft tire, you will then have to transition into the hard tire to make it on one stop. But here we are, coming out of the final corner, overtake on DRS enable. We're going to have a little bit of a look down the inside of Gallimooms on braking. We've gone a little bit deep and make a little bit of contact, and that has sent us around. We gently tap into the wall there. Doesn't look like we've picked up any wing damage, but that is a huge mistake. Just a little bit too much contact coming through turn 1 there, and that has let Onslaught and Racer04 through. We are still in front of Voki because he did have to dive into the pit lanes. And now we are about 2 laps away from the normal pit window to diving onto the hard tires. But we've definitely taken a lot of extra life out of those soft tires by spinning around. But here we are, jumping ahead, lap 8. Awakens coming out of the pits in front of us. He's on that hard tire. We are still on this worn soft tire. There's yellow flag in front of us, so somebody's going a little bit slowly. Looks like they've gotten going again. So we may have had enough opportunity to try and pounce on making an overtake of Awakens into there, but with the yellow flags ahead, we had to make a change. But that is Marco Denelson out in front of us. So it looks like after his pit stop, he's had a bit of a mistake and dropped right down the field, because he was running up with the lead pack before that. So we'll see where the lead pack comes out in front of him, because it looks like they are still on their main starting tires, and we are going to go ahead and tell Jeff that we're coming into the pit lanes as well. But you can see Awakens already opening up a bit of a gap in front of us. Those fresh hard tires having a little bit more pace than these worn soft tires. We're going to use a little bit of extra engine mode just to stay inside that 1 second so he can have a little bit of DRS help. It's not going to help us for an overtake coming into this area, but it's definitely going to help us close up to the field. But Marco Denelson going very slowly. It looks like he may have some wing damage and gone off. Awakens has gone through him, and we've closed up that gap significantly. So it looks like Marco might be making another trip into the pit lane to grab a new front wing. And yeah, he dives in just in front of us. You can see about 57% wear on that front left that gets a little bit beat up around here, and then everybody on the brakes to dive into the pit lane and grab that fresh set of tires. Looks like a Renault is coming in as well. They're getting prepped. A few other teams out in the pit lane. So No new front nose for us, just a set of hard tires here on lap 8, and we came in a little bit early because of that earlier spin that definitely did us some disservice to our tire life. But coming out of the pit lanes, we've got Gollymooms 13.1 seconds out in front of us, and that is a pretty significant chunk of time to make up, especially against a driver that we've been fairly evenly matched with over the last few races. Now Australia, if you remember back to last season, we've gone much further than we did last season. Last season we were out in the 4th corner of the race after tangling with Habs Van Nick, who is up in P6 at the moment, and kind of put our season off to a poor start. So even with a rough race going for us so far, we have made it further than we did in our first trip to Australia. It's a track that I'm not particularly great with. I've always struggled with it, even in the My Team career mode. There are times I've had the absolute, best car performance-wise on the grid and still struggled against the AI around this track. So it's just not one that I have a really good handle on. As you can see, picking up another track limits warning. I picked up another penalty in the meantime, so we'll have some time added to the end of our race there. But you can see just kind of fighting the early understeer, getting used to the amount of grip that these hard tires are going to have compared to the soft tires that we started the race on. So definitely have to drive within the scope of these tires, especially with 20 laps left to go in this race. We are going to have to nurse them a little bit to keep them in a good operating window. Another challenge of the first race of the season here is moving to the F1 2020 game. Is obviously the way that the car setups behave has changed a little bit. Your tire pressure balancing with the cars changing in performance year on year. So a little bit more to figure out in getting the cars dialed in versus what I had in 2019, where I had a pretty good handle on it. So definitely going to take some time to adapt to the change in the handling model year on year. And ooh, we've got a safety car is out.
Keep an eye on the delta. We need to keep it positive to avoid a penalty. Slow down, maintain positive.
So it looks like a yellow dot. One of the Renaults is stopped coming through sector 2 there just after we turn 11-12 chicane. So it looks like that is the cause, and is Racer 04 who has DNF, the first man to DNF in this race on lap 10. So anybody that was able to stretch those soft tires at the opening stint is going to have basically a free pit stop to come in and get their change of tires to the end of the race, whereas we had to come in early because of that spin that definitely put us on the back foot. But we'll see if we can come out ahead of anybody in the pit lane. It looks like a few cars are still in the pits. We're just kind of having to manage that delta. We're not allowed to go too fast in closing up to the safety car queue. But now they say just catch the safety car queue, which means we can go full pelt. And with a few cars just starting to pull out of the pit lanes, we are going to go very quickly to try and get past them, come out just ahead of Voki and Onslaught. So we have gained those couple of positions. Voki getting a good run after dropping to the back of the field from a spin, getting a new set of tires on, and he's in very good position right behind us on fresh tires. Marco Denelson also as well. So we're sitting P5 of 8 running cars at this point. And it looks like got Habs Van Nick, Fast 6 driver out in front of us, and Golly Mooms, and it looks like Awakens is leading the pack to the start. But a decent restart there. We've got good momentum off of the final corner. Didn't get jumped by anybody behind us, have just kind of held station. So now trying to get the tires back up to temperature and getting that grip in. We are surrounded by hard tire runners, so we don't necessarily have a tire disadvantage at this point. But now we got to see if we can make some moves on the cars in front of us at all. But we do have very quick drivers in Voki and Marco Denelson behind us that are chomping at the bit to try and get up past us. We do have to try and catch back up and close up to Golly Moves. We are fighting with the dirty air, and you can see Voki filling that rear view mirror, which is also new to the 2020 game, that virtual rear view mirror. But he's going to go up the inside, and ooh, he's forced us a little bit deep. So we are going to try and get on the throttle. He's around the outside of us. We have to give him room, and that's going to leave a lane for Marco Denelson to go around the outside. We're holding the inside as we come to this quick chicane. And ooh, Marco Denelson turns in early and gets into the side of us, puts us sideways. Luckily, no contact with a wall. We've still got our wing attached, but Nemesis looks like is another DNF during that safety car period. I wonder what's happened to him there, but during that restart, and then Marco just turning in early, not allowing us to get to the apex, and that's put us sideways and well off the back of the field now. Tires are very hot still, so we're trying to get those cooled down so we can turn these corners. But that is a huge, huge time loss for us coming up on the midway point of this race. So 11.9 seconds to the next car ahead, and we're at a tire disadvantage to Marco Denelson and Onslaught, who's on the soft tire. So it looks like Onslaught is probably going to have to make another pit stop. He did start on the medium tires and has now gone on to the softs. So as far as the rules go as running different tire compounds are concerned, he's fine, but there's no way that soft tire is making it to the end of the race. But here we are jumping ahead, lap 23 of 29. Not a lot happened aside from us jumping Onslaught in his pit stop. But we are still about 9.8 seconds off of Gallimooms in front of us, so not really made a lot of headway on the cars ahead of us. Luckily, though, unlike Season 1, we are still running, and we are with only 10 cars in a points-paying position. But ooh, we get sideways coming out of Turn 1. The back end steps out, and we've made contact with the inside wall, and that is a front wing broken. So now, with only 5 laps left to go in this race, we are not going to have a chance at holding Onslaught behind us with this broken wing anymore. There's no way that that's going to happen, so we will drop to the last car running. We did not DNF, we're still alive, but we're going to go ahead and tell the pits to get us a set of soft tires. So we're talking to them, tell them used soft tires. We don't have any fresh sets left. We used them all in qualifying, but now we'll confirm our pit stop this lap, and that's going to let Onslaught back through. And barring anybody else crashing out, we will be coming in for an 8th place finish unless we also DNF. But slapping on those soft tires with only 5 laps left to go, that is going to give us an opportunity to try and go for that fastest lap of the race. Crank everything up to 11, save some fuel, save some battery, and really try and turn in a fast lap to at least steal that point off of another driver, because running in P8, we have decided with the size of our division, we are running an older points model. Normally the top 10 cars would score points in the current points model, but we have decided to make it so that only the top 8 cars in a race are going to score points in Division 1. So we are at the moment sitting on only 1 point available to us, so we can kind of double our haul if we're able to turn in that fastest lap of the race coming up. So trundling down the pit lane, just trying to get all the way to our box here. Williams having the last pit box in the grid means we drive all the way down the road to get that new front wing on, but we are closest to the pit exit. But an 8.4 second pit stop, and you can see that pit timer losing time all the way. 26 seconds we spent in there that time, as opposed to a few quick short stops there over the course of the race. You can see, looking on the mini map, that the 2 red dots of the Ferraris are coming out of the final corner, so we are nearly a lap behind. We're getting our radio transmission up ready. We're going to ask Jeff what the fastest lap of the race is. We've taken another 3-second penalty because we weren't paying that much attention. And also, we were just used to the understeer of the hard tire coming in. So getting used to the new grip of the soft tire versus that hard tire is a big difference. But you can see I'm running in the lean mixture, just trying to conserve some fuel, charge up the batteries as much as we can so we can give them an absolute stinker of a deployment. But let's see. Nope, that's not what I wanted to press. I wanted to press fastest lap overall.
Currently, the fastest lap is a 1:24.4.
Alright, so that's our target for the fast lap, 1:24.4. But here we are, lap 26 now. You can see the fuel mix all the way now up to rich, and we have about a half a lap of extra fuel, and you can see that battery is quite full as well. I think it would be nice if I could have access to the hot lap mode in race as well to be able to go for these fast laps. Otherwise, I'm having to just kind of manage how much overtake mode to spend, because using overtake mode the whole time will expend it before you get anywhere close to the end of the lap. Hot lap just kind of spreads it out appropriately so you can get the maximum deployment over the course of a full lap. But here we are coming through that fast right-hand kink with the fuel load lightened down. You can see we're purple in the first sector. We're almost a full second up on our previous best lap, which was a 25.9. We need to be about 1.5 seconds quicker than our previous best lap in order to set that fastest lap of the race. So as we get ready to come out of turn 10, head down to turn 11 and 12, we will see what our lap time is looking like at the next sector split. We're 1.7 seconds up, so we're on pace for that fast lap. Just need to not invalidate coming over that curb. Had to make a little bit of an adjustment pitching the car in, but we're clean through there. So only a few more corners left to go on these soft compounded tires to try and set that fastest lap of the race and double our points haul for the session. So here we are on the brakes. We are out of ERS deployment. We've used all the overtake that we have available to us. That's what that red X means. You're only allowed to use a certain amount per lap. But here we are coming across the finish line at 123.3. We are 2.5 seconds faster than our best for the race. So that puts us well up on the fastest lap. And that also only gives enough time for the front runners to react for one lap to try and set a faster lap. I haven't given them any time to try and save some fuel, and it looks like there's a Ferrari battle going on up front that was definitely closing in on me until I used all of that extra fuel and all of that extra battery power to set a really fast lap. But you can see after turning everything down, 7/10 down in that first sector. So you can see how much of a difference having all that extra power available to you can make. And I'm also just trying to, at this point, nurse the car home. A finish is points for me here, so I definitely need to still bring the car home safely with only 2 laps left to go. And the weather is starting to come in as well. You can see the tire wear about 25%, so nothing to be concerned about there, but clouds definitely moved in, dropped the track temperature quite a bit. That's fairly beneficial, but we need to make sure that the rain holds off. It could get very spicy if it starts pouring rain right now, although with only 1 lap left to go, I don't think there's enough time for the track to really get too wet, as we've gone a little bit too deep there coming into the final corner. As you can see, those 2 red dots of the Ferraris behind should have no problem navigating the last couple of corners to take the first result of the season. We'll see the checkered flag start to come in as they cross the line. We'll see who takes the first win of the season. Marco Dennelson is the one who takes the checkered flag. Now, of course, with track limits penalties, could be a situation where some car behind him jumps him if he has less penalties and grabs the win. But it's a Ferrari. It looks to be a Ferrari 1-2 out in the front of this race here. So very good points for them in the Constructors' Championship to kick off the season. And Marco Dennelson, who struggled with consistency early in the season last time around, really showed tremendous pace in the last few races, starting off the season on the right foot and able to grab the first checkered flag of the season. And we will be one of the last cars trundling along 22 seconds behind Onslaught, so well off the pace of the other cars. Voki up in P6, we can see there, it looks like the 2 Red Bulls of Golly Moons and Awakens up there, and then also on the mini-map in P3, the maroon dot of Habs fan Nick. So coming through the second to last corner, just gently tease the car through here, wait till we're straightened out to get on the throttle, don't want to bin it into the wall in the last corner. And we're going to go ahead and cross the start-finish line. A frustrating first race for us. Got some points out of it, but it is a P8 finish for us after a couple of spins and some contact and some wing damage. But we did manage to get that fastest lap of the race. So we've at least tied the amount of points that Onslaught in front of us has grabbed in that first race of the season. There it is, Marco Dennelson on the top step of the podium there, followed by Fast 6 driver, and then Habs fan Nick taking the first podium of the season. So an all Ferrari powered podium celebration on there. We'll see if they can keep that moving out throughout the season. We are headed off to Circuit of the Americas next week, so it was a race that was late in the season last time around, coming up very early this time in this season. So we've definitely made some changes to the scheduling, and we will see what happens there. But the final classifications, Marco Dennelson up top, Fast 6 driver, Habs fan Nick, Awakens, Golly Moves 5, Voki, Onslaught, myself, and then QX Nemesis and Racer04 are your non-finishers from today's race. But I will catch you guys next time when we head to our home race in the USA. See y'all later. Peace.